So the affordable housing piece, you didn't have to do that, like you said, but I know it's something that's personal.
It was encouraged, but yeah, it's definitely purchased to me.
So talk about that, right? Because you could have done commercial real estate. You're, I mean, super intelligent. You could have done commercial, but you're doing more community real estate. So talk about why it's so personal to you and why you continue to go down that path.
100%. I mean, for that deal in particular, some of the other proposals was student housing because it's right by University of Wisconsin. You know, that's a huge university, 40,000+ people. You can make a lot more money doing that. But for me, it's like my first deals were in my backyard. That's how I started. I'm like, yo, I want to develop in this area that is facing gentrification. And the fact that I started in community development, I'm going to never let that go. So I work really closely now with this guy, Egbert Perry. He's a genius. He was the former board chair of Fannie Mae, like coming out the recession. He's on the board of Penn, just a dope guy and developer. And one of the things he enlightened me on was there's a huge difference between community development and commercial real estate, right? So commercial real estate is, let's just call it capital P for profit and a small M, maybe no M for mission. You go, you make the money, it is what it is. It's transactional. Community development, on the other hand, is a very large M for mission, and it might be a small P for profit. So when I was starting off, everything I did was community development. When we spoke last time, everything I was doing was community development. But now I'm transitioning into commercial real estate because although I am passionate about the community development piece, it's difficult to build your entire business around that. So you have to have the balance. Y'all know, diversification right at the end of the day. So now I'm getting into more market rate stuff, whether it be studios that I'm developing or market rate housing, et cetera. I'm doing both. But really what I'm more so focused on is master plans where I can like commingle both in the same space. So the stuff that we're doing in Birmingham is a prime example of that.
So like for people, you know, people always have criticisms. So they'll say like, earn your leisure, like you're only interviewing rappers now. Like what about like Diddy, he's talking about liquor. That's not something that we need. We need more grocery stores. So for all of you folks, this is something that actually is extremely important from the grocery store aspect and the housing aspect. Is probably the two most essential things in life, actually, food and shelter. Absolutely. So this is a model that is actually very interesting to have a grocery store and then affordable housing on top of a grocery store. Do you think that this is something that can be duplicated? And if so, like for other people that might be interested, like what's the blueprint for this model in disenfranchised neighborhoods moving forward? Because like I said, that actually is something that encompasses a variety of different things. You know, if we talk about food deserts.
Yes.
So access to food is extremely important, and access to have somewhere to live is extremely important. For so sure. if you can knock out two birds with one stone, that's kind of a amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, so great question, by the way. I think for that, there is a model for sure. I think you've seen it a little bit, but we should see more of it in the future. For anyone looking to do it, I think where you start is really understanding development first. Because if you don't get that, if the numbers don't work, we're just talking. Mm-hmm. Like this isn't charity, it's business at the end of the day. And big business. Like even community development is big business. We're talking hundreds of millions just in my portfolio. There's billions of dollars going out monthly to these type of deals. That's not, hey, I want to do this type stuff. So to answer that, I think one, understanding development and really community development. One of the unique things from a macroeconomic perspective that I did in Madison was that particular neighborhood is in an area that has like healthy connectivity around it. So yeah, the food desert may be leaving, but there are other things there that this development being affordable is going to enhance some of those other things. The Urban League of Madison just put up a new building. There's a tremendous amount of new development nearby. So my recommendation would be find an area that is, yes, in the food desert, but the nicest area within that. Don't go to the worst area in the area, like that community, and say, I want to do that here. It's probably not going to work from a numbers perspective. Find something on the fringes. If there's, let's say, a 2-mile radius that you're looking at, what is the best area within this 2-mile radius that you could still feel like connected to? Yeah, I'm doing this in my community, but it's closer to whatever catalytic development is around there. you want to always align yourself with something else that's going on. You don't want to build in like, I'm not saying you don't want to, but you don't want to build from a business owner perspective. I don't want to own something that is retail specifically in an area that has no healthy connectivity around it. Start there and then move into those areas. So it's kind of like the reverse of gentrification almost, right? It's like, how do we go align with that stuff and then continuously like spread it to the other parts of the community? Gentrification isn't bad. Displacement is bad. Those are two different things. If we can build and develop in our communities and not displace the people within it, it's beauty. So that's how you do it. You put you look for what's healthy in that area of a food desert and put a plan in that area. And then it'll start to expand down to the other areas that need it the most.
How much, I mean, you have the proof of concept, right? You've done this. So when you're doing this in Madison, before you get to the Harbor District, are you showing this the scale? I can do this. And now is it making that process easier for you? Number one. And number two, how many developments are you taking on at a time before it's like, can we handle this much workflow?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So absolutely. I think in Wisconsin in particular, I'm one of the biggest developers in the state, regardless of race, color, age, any of that.
Right.
So when I pull up, they see my resume now. That deal we just talked about with the grocery store, that was the largest development in the state from a tax credit perspective that year. This Harbor District one that I just got in 2023, that's the largest one in the state that was funded. So like, I now have the track record where it's like, no, I'm standing on my own. And they look at me as if I'm one of the historically, white developers, right? But I'm Black and I'm coming with energy and mission and like community with me. So I think having that entire story helps. What also helps is Milwaukee has changed, man. Historically, it's been the worst place for Black people, but the mayor's now Black. The head of the county's Black. The head of the WIDA economic development in the whole state of Wisconsin that was appointed by the governor is Black. Pretty much all the positions of power, the head of that, DCD, the community development arm that puts the money out, is Black. Head of CDBG funds is Black. So it's like, it's a renaissance almost. It's like, okay, cool. Like we all are on that same wave. So I don't have to sell it because they get it. So a lot of the areas, that's why I'm in Birmingham too. It's like, okay, Madison got it. Milwaukee gets it. Birmingham gets it. Atlanta gets it. DC gets it. Houston gets it. That's why I'm in these markets. I don't need to sell the fact that Black people should be able to do good business, regardless of color. They get it. So the fact that I bring my resume and my expertise, I can show just, hey, this is what I've done. This is what I do it for. And this is what I'm looking to do here in that respect.